the Sony PlayStation conference. So if I were to pick 2 words to sum up this conference, and by the way, I love Sony, okay? I love Sony. But the 2 words would be weird and pretentious.
I just saw that on there, and I just laughed, because every other event you just have it, and then with Sony there's just a hyphen, weird and pretentious.
Yeah, so an overview of how this played out was people showed up, and they're not in a big arena or a big like conference center. They're in this smaller, it's a church basically, which is weird because like they built this building for this event.
They did?
Yes.
Sony?
Yes, they did.
But it's a church?
It looks like a church building.
Oh.
And it's got like string lights everywhere, and then like when it gets going, this guy comes out and plays a banjo, and it sounds like Last of Us Part 2, and everyone's like, oh, that's going to be the first thing we're going to see.
Like a concert or
yeah, so they do that. They show Last of Us footage, and then they move everyone out, and this whole thing, it's like during an intermission. They show one game, and they have this long intermission with like a panel of people talking about different things, and they're just stalling for time while people move into another building, which is more like a traditional conference space where they show the rest of the conference. And then they have, before they show the next game, they have someone else come out and play an instrument. I was just like, is this going to be a theme? Are we going to have someone play an instrument for every game that we talk about? Like, it was stupid. It really was dumb how they came out with it. And yes, pretentious. Like, it's a press conference, okay? I'm glad that you no longer talk about how we're selling so many PlayStations, because I didn't care. I only just get to the games. That part's good. This whole playing an instrument thing, and I don't know. It was weird. So, what I really didn't like about it is Sean Layden, who I believe he is I had it pulled up here a second ago, President and CEO of Sony Interactive Entertainment America and Chairman of SIE Worldwide Studios. He comes out and says, first thing he says is, welcome to church, because it's like you're in a church building. And he's like, oh, this takes care of your obligation next Sunday.
He says that?
Yes.
What?
And it's just, it was weird. Exactly, it was weird. It's like, some of us don't look at going to church as an obligation.
Exactly. I was like, I have no obligation.
Right. So, that was kind of, I was like, okay, a bit, am I using the term right? Sacrilegious? Did you look up the term?
Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
Okay. Well, I'm just using it as you're kind of being disrespectful towards people who are religious and go to church.
Yeah.
So, then they start the Last of Us Part 2 stuff. And at first I thought it was really cool because, and you watched the trailer too, that area that she's in with like the light streaming, that's the church that they were in at the conference. Like they basically built this space to look like where the Last of Us Part 2 trailer takes place. But then they get more into the trailer.
When the trailer plays.
And I've heard no one talk about this except maybe the comments of YouTube. But it's official. They've made Ellie a lesbian. I don't want to play a game as a lesbian, so I'm not going to play the game.
Did you play you didn't play the first one though, right?
No, but it's on my list. They had DLC for the first Last of Us where there was a relationship with like this black girl that she had, and I guess that was lesbian. And oh, by the way, I was mad about that because I was reading reviews for it thinking like, is this DLC any good? Should I get it? None of them talked about that until it was like the fourth review I read where they actually bring that up. So I understand it's not the popular opinion to hold, but I don't approve of the homosexual lifestyle. You don't either.
And just the trailer just made me uncomfortable. Like, I'm sorry if like
I don't play a video game to watch two women make out.
No, it was weird.
I just don't.
It was really weird.
The gameplay looks solid. It looks like a gorgeous game, but two sweaty girls on a dance floor making out is just not doing it for me. So I'm not going to play the game. And I'm not and I'm not expressing hate. I know that a lot of people like to take that.
Right,
You know,
we're such hateful people.
you know, you don't agree with the lifestyle. That means you must hate. It's like, no, that's a big jump.
Mm-hmm.
I try my best not to hate anyone. So, yeah, I have no interest in playing as a lesbian, and I kind of think that. Oh, and this is kind of. I don't like the direction Naughty Dog is going in general, because they did Uncharted 4, great game. Then they came out with Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, and it was basically Uncharted Female Edition, which I don't really have any qualms with, but it didn't sell very well because you took out Nathan Drake, who's the main character of the Uncharted. It's like having.
So they're just trying to be super like liberal and progressive.
Yeah, they're trying to be. That's what I think, and that's just not my bag.
Like the Disney of the video game industry or something.
Kind of.
Or I don't know.
Yeah.
Or pretty much.
You can go on and on with that,
Yeah.
but I'm just not into it, and a lot of people in the comment section, I think, agree with me. But, you know, if you want to call me a hateful bigot, by all means, it doesn't really affect me one way or another. After that, I think we had a bit of a montage or some footage here and there. The next game they didn't really talk about, but they showed footage of, was Days Gone, which is that post-apocalyptic zombie game. Oh, never mind. Several games are post-apocalyptic and have zombies in them. But it's a new IP by... I forget who's developing it. But it doesn't really look all that interesting to me. I mean, it has some cool ideas. They've shown it in previous E3. I don't know why it's taking so long to make.
Is Days Gone not the name of the first Walking Dead episode?
I think there was an episode called Days Gone.
Now I really want to look it up.
You can do that. They also showed a quick teaser for Destiny 2 DLC called Forsaken. I guess
Days Gone By.
Days Gone By.
That's the first episode. I knew that. That sounded so familiar to me. I was like, I've heard that. Okay, sorry.
I bet you that's where they got it from. But they also had a quick teaser of Destiny 2 Forsaken.
Ugh.
I don't play Destiny games.
I've heard people are disappointed.
Well, it's an online game. Well, yeah, Destiny 2, because you covered it, and people don't like this one. Well, the DLC called Forsaken, I guess they kill off a major character, but I didn't think you'd have major characters in an MMO.
Yeah, it's weird.
So, that goes over my head, but they had that there. Next, they had Ghost of Tsushima, which it's weird. It's made by Sucker Punch. Sucker Punch is known for the what is it called? The raccoon that robs.
Oh, Sly Cooper. Sly Cooper, yeah.
They're known for the Sly Cooper games, and more recently the Infamous games, which you play like a superhero. It's like a superhero sandbox.
Isn't there a Sly Cooper movie came out recently?
They announced that they're making one.
Oh, okay. So they made that.
Yeah, so they made those, and now this is not in those veins at all. This is like an ultra realistic Japanese feudal Japan. You play as a samurai, and you're trying to, I guess, you're trying to stop an invasion. It looks really cool. I mean, it's really cinematic. It was hard to tell what was gameplay and what was cinematic. There's some like stealth and Assassin's Creed like things where you're sneaking around and you can take people by surprise, but the combat looks really solid, really smooth. People like lose limbs because, you know, guys got a katana, of course, but it's not really stylized. It looks like a historical piece of work. So it looks pretty cool, but it's just not in their wheelhouse, you know, like of doing Sly Cooper and superhero Infamous stuff.
Yeah.
Next we saw Control, which I didn't know what this was, but it kind of looks like a really trippy sci-fi, you're controlling gravity kind of thing. And this is done by the same people who did this, goodness, I can't think of it. It's like a game for Xbox One that had like you controlling time, but it was like a third-person shooter. I forget what it's called. Now I gotta look that up too. So much stuff.
Yeah.
Xbox
Controlling
game about time travel.
Is it called Looper?
No.
Nope, that was a crappy movie from like 2013.
Time.
Also about time travel, though.
Control? Blinks. Yeah, I guess you did control time there. It's on the original Xbox.
What's it called? Oh, you haven't found it?
No, I haven't found it yet, but that's okay. It was a semi-hit. A lot of people in the audience got hyped when they saw that Remedy, which is the developer, was making this game. But it shows like a woman with a gun that's like it's a weird looking gun, but she's basically like kind of doing Half-Life stuff where she's like grabbing stuff with like a gravity gun and like throwing it at enemies and stuff. It looked okay. Next we have one of the coolest reveals of E3. We have the trailer is a point of view of a rat scurrying around like a storage room, and what's cool is they had original PlayStation that he was near, and you saw it if you were looking for it. It was kind of dark though, like it was just in a storage room looking for food, and you hear like someone scuffling with someone and someone saying like, you know, hey, is anyone there? And then things happen where this rat is crawling up these shelves, and the shelves get knocked over by a police officer struggling with someone and saying like, you know, hey, you can't be in here, and the other person just going like and like knocks him over, and the rat gets killed. Of course, then the point of view switches to just a normal camera, and you see this guy getting attacked by a zombie. And then someone comes into the room a little bit too late to save this guy, but someone comes into the room, shoots the zombie, and you see that it's Leon Kennedy from Resident Evil. And it's the Resident Evil 2 remake that they announced, I think, a couple of years ago.
From the perspective of a mouse.
Of a rat.
You
That's
get to
right.
play through Resident Evil 2 as a rat.
Ratatouille meets Resident Evil.
Wow.
But instead of making meals, you're putting together zombie guts. I don't know how it's going to play.
Yeah.
No, it's so I'm really happy about this. This is one of my top picks for the entire E3 because I have always wanted to go back and play I've played almost every Resident Evil since 4. I've played 5. I have 6. I need to play through 6. Played a little.
7.
Haven't finished 7, but played most. I would say we got through at least most of it, more than halfway through. And they're all good games. I'm more of a casual Resident Evil fan, so the first 3 on the original PlayStation were set up with like static camera angles and tank controls, and they remade the original Resident Evil a couple times, but they've always stuck to that whole thing. This game has been made from the ground up. It uses the same engine that 7 uses, but it's going to be behind the back camera like Resident Evil 4, 5, and 6 play, which is great. And everything, they had a demo there. I've watched several playthroughs of the demo. It looks so good. It's just as like scary and just as I would say gross, gory as 7 was, but it's 2 with zombies. Like there will be parts where you have to run, like you're not going to have ammo to fight off people, or zombies I should say.
Should be cool.
Yeah, I'm so looking forward to this. It's on my buy list. It comes out late January, so
got a little ways to go.
Ways to go, but that's okay. Speaking of January releases, we have another Kingdom Hearts 3 trailer. The difference here was they showed off that you will be returning to Pirates of the Caribbean's world, which was in 2. So that'll be cool. You have ship combat. It kind of looked like an Assassin's Creed game for a moment. But it looks like it's actually doing like the 3rd movie at World's End, because they remade the scene where the ship is going up a sand dune and then like going down it.
With the crabs.
I wonder if the crabs will be in it.
The crabs. It doesn't like the giant lady turn into a bunch of crabs.
Yeah, she's in it. Calypso, I think.
Yeah,
was her
that's
name.
it, Calypso.
Yeah.
The whole thing was weird, man.
Yeah, I can't wait for Kingdom Hearts 3. I really can't. Next, we have Death Stranding, Hideo Kojima's solo project, which
Those are words.
still makes no sense. The game is, from what I can, Norman Reedus is in the game. By the way, he plays like the main character.
Really?
Yeah, you play as Norman Reedus.
That's funny. He looks like him?
Yeah, and it's his voice and everything. They did show off gameplay. It wasn't just a trailer, but the gameplay was all just like walking or climbing. And you're like a courier. You're like making deliveries, but there's also these invisible things that are after you. There are babies in these jars that I think power different things. It's weird. It's Hideo Kojima. And
Who is that?
he's the maker of Metal Gear, the Metal Gear games, starring Snake.
Yeah, Metal Gear Solid and
Yeah,
all that.
Metal Gear Solid, all that stuff. But he no longer works for Konami, so this is him like given a bunch of money by Sony to be like, here, make this game for us. So, but it's all him, it's all his vision, and it's weird. Like there's nothing
be
else
cool.
to really say. Could be.
They
cool.
should have just named it Norman Reedus, though. Honestly,
Norman Reedus.
because what does Death Stranding even mean?
Yeah, there's that.
Stranding? Is stranding even a word?
Yeah, you left me stranding here.
I thought it was stranded.
I think stranding is a form of it.
I just don't know how it'd be
Anyway.
used, but yeah.
Anyway, the next one
Neo.
was kind of a surprise because they just came out with the original Neo, and now they're coming out with Neo 2. We just saw like a quick teaser trailer, no gameplay, but Neo is a like a Dark Souls style game where it's really hard, third person, camera behind the back, action game with RPG elements. So that's a thing. They had a really cool demo with Spider-Man, the new Spider-Man game, and that game looks so good. Everything looks so fluid and smooth, from web swinging to combat. A lot of people are saying, hey, this looks a lot like the Arkham games. Well, that's a good thing because the Arkham games are really good.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not much to say, although, in this thing you see that there's going to be more than one villain. There's going to be several villains that you fight off. So I'm happy for that. And one of the last things they showed off was Detascene.
Yeah, that's how it looks to me. Detascene.
And it's a VR game made by From Software, who's well known for the Dark Souls games. And it's a VR game. So I don't really know what else you could really add to that description.
All right, that's it's interesting the way they did it. Like they the last two companies, their events, they kind of did like some of their biggest stuff last.
Yeah.
With Sony was the opposite. They got The Last of Us, which would probably be what most people would care about most, out of the way, and then they ended with Detascene.
Yeah. So
It's weird.
that was Sony's press conference.